We begin tonight with fascism and how it takes root.
Donald Trump is back in business. He's here whether you like it or not. And yes, he's Hitler and a fascist and all that stuff. Check out, I'm not going to show you all 3 minutes of it. Just a little bit of Joy Reid starting her show yesterday. And I'd also like everyone to focus on her hair because I don't think it's natural.
And we begin tonight with fascism and how it takes root. Now, it isn't usually a dramatic storm the palace coup like we saw on January 6th. It's more often a deal, a bargain between the would-be dictator and the establishment, both political and media, who believe that wielding actual political power will take him. It's usually what we often, it will actually tame him, I should say. It's actually what we often get wrong about fascism. In describing the connections between interwar Europe and the present-day U.S., scholar John Gans writes, quote, "We have this image in our heads of the fascist rise to power that comes from fascist propaganda, but it is much more political than that." In a review of Gans's new book in The American Prospect, Rick Perlstein also notes the crucial role of the, quote, responsible conservatives who made their peace with the strong man, believing he could be controlled. Perlstein recalls Germany's Vice Chancellor Franz von Papen, the architect of the 1933 coalition that made Adolf Hitler the chancellor. When the people around Papen voiced their concerns about putting Hitler in power, Papen said, "In 2 months, we'll have pushed Hitler so far into the corner that he'll squeal." There's also the phenomenon of elites who become supplicants of the fascist leader, forgetting they ever had any concerns at all. Remember what Lindsey Graham tweeted back in 2016 when Trump was still an outlier in the party? I do. Quote, "If we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed, and we will deserve it." When Trump won the White House anyway, Graham got busy reducing himself to a MAGA footstool in the U.S. Senate. Proximity to power will do that. Like Trump, Hitler was also viewed as a clown, a goon, who could be kept in line. And then there are the accommodations that the media makes with autocracy. In November 1922, the New York Times gave its readers their first glimpse of Hitler. It was a profile of the fascist leader's early rise in Bavaria in Germany that got a key point very wrong, asserting that, quote, Hitler's anti-Semitism was not so violent or genuine as it sounded. Before he rose to power, Hitler staged a coup known as the Beer Hall Putsch. It was a coup that failed. Sound familiar? Hitler went to prison for it, but the failed coup set the stage for Nazi Germany. And when he was freed from prison just over a year after the failed putsch, the Times offered this unfortunate and incorrect assessment, that Hitler had been tamed by prison. The next year, Mein Kampf was published. So much of this sounds familiar, and believe me, I wish it didn't. The same thing happened with a lot of other autocrats. The establishment thinks they can be controlled, and poof, they're stuck with them. The thought that these men could be tamed is what we're seeing right now in the presidential election year, where politicians, journalists, and voters speak of a dangerous person getting reined in once back in power. And those who are legitimately afraid of this outcome are being quiet about it. Last week, the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, brought together...
So, Sarah, what's the deal with her hair? No, just kidding.
Wait, can I answer that? It's called
all right.
from Karen.
Yeah,
yes,
what is it?
It is cultural appropriation.
Yes.
From Karen. That's Karen hair.
Cancel that woman, for God's sakes. Actually, though, of course, okay, Hitler, fascism, all that stuff. Sarah, do you think you can see them busting out the same playbook again? I mean, we've been through this. This is what you guys did that led to the rise of the guy in the first place. You're doing it again. It's leading to the rise this time. And by the way, you guys are the ones that are trying to take him off the ballot and hang him up in court and do sort of fascist-y things. Do you think it's going to work again?
I don't, especially at a time, maybe if we had not lived through 3 years of Joe Biden, but we're living through a time where, it's so cute when they throw out the term fascism while their own party are, trying to imprison their own political opponents, while their own party are throwing people into prison for decades because, they put their feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk, while they are, targeting pro-life protesters for peacefully protesting the act of abortion. I mean, you have really really reprehensible people in charge. I call them the Biden regime for a reason. So it's just really cute to hear this. It may have worked if we hadn't been living at a time where the average American doesn't care what you call someone else. What they care about is how much it costs to fill up their gas tank, how much it costs when they buy groceries at the grocery store, how much their mortgage rate has increased, their interest rates. And that's what the average American is seeing and feeling. And I just don't think name calling is going to work this time. And I will also add, Dave, I know you guys know this, and I know that you saw it, but if it was Ron DeSantis, they would have called him the same things. They were already preparing to do that. They were already throwing in the seeds to plant so that they could start calling Ron DeSantis Hitler and a fascist and alt-right and all of the same things that they called Donald Trump. It's all an illusion. None of it is real, and they know it's not. And I just don't think it's going to work this time.
No, they were prepping the DeSantis thing. They were basically calling him Hitler with the calculator, like at least the orange guy's an idiot, but this guy knows what he's doing. It's going to be even worse.
Right.
Malice, what do we do about this like information gap of the type of person that watches MSNBC, which of course is dwindling numbers, and we get the fight between legacy media and online media, but that there still are millions and millions of people that buy this stuff, and they're living in an alternate universe, and we got to save them or forget about them or institutionalize them? What do we do?
You're the one who wants to continue being in a country with them. I want to live in free Texas. I'm not even kidding. There's no getting through them by your own admission. Here's the other thing. Let's just take them arguments seriously for a second. If you regard Trump as a Hitler-like figure, and your strategy last time didn't stop him, it is incumbent on you to do everything in your power to think of a new strategy to take this guy on, because we're looking at the destruction of one's country and genocide. But the fact that they're just saying the same things over and over means they're not particularly. I'll believe that these corporate journalists are scared when the first one leaves the country. You know, I mean, if Hitler's coming to power, even just the threats, so many people, not just Jewish people, are like, I got to get the heck out of Dodge because this is getting really scary really fast. They're not selling their houses in, Cape Cod or whatever. They don't care because it's not going to affect them. They're completely full of crap. I do think, though, to the point about the hair, Karen is the swing voter in this country.
Yeah.
And Karen it's going to be kind of hard to convince Karen to vote for someone who is a felon. So this idea that, it's going to be a cakewalk for Trump is not at all accurate. They got him out of the White House in 2020. So the concept that it's just going to be a given that in 2024, after 3 years, people are going to go vote for Trump. That's not obvious to me at all. And it's not at all obvious to me that Biden's going to be the nominee, because it's going to be very easy. And I've said this before. Hold on. If they pull Biden, they can put in Hillary. And Hillary had already gotten millions more votes than Trump in the wrong states. But I'd rather start out with someone who people have voted for before, who have millions more votes. And now it's just a matter of accounting and putting the votes in the right place with Newsom as the VP, so they don't have to defend the California record. That would be a very strong ticket for the Democrats. And then she wouldn't have to defend Biden. She could just throw Biden's record on the bus.
I'm with you that it's that suburban kind of white woman or these disaffected libs that have kind of woke up over the last few months, that those are the only people who might move. And the issue with Trump is that they don't seem to want Trump.